Foundations are the link between the ground and one of your most valuable assets, your home. They transfer the substantial weight of construction to the surrounding soil and give your home something to rest on. They come in all shapes and sizes and vary in complexity, but the simple truth is that homes will not last without a solid foundation. Unfortunately, like all things in life, foundations can degrade over time. This may result from a poor initial design, inadequate foundation depth, or just a lack of general home maintenance. But there is one element that commonly wreaks havoc on properties, especially those located in the central part of Mississippi: expansive clay soils.
2-to-1 clays are our main culprit in this part of the world. Those type of clays will absorb up to 200 times their own size in water. And when we get in the central part of the state, we have a clay that people are very, very familiar with that is generically called yazoo clay. And yazoo clay really has a great capacity to absorb water, like 600 times its own volume.
Foundations built on top of expansive soils tend to shift according to the amount of expansion or contraction of the soil. When the foundation settles, the house moves right along with it, and this is when structural problems become apparent to the homeowner.
So when they absorb this water, of course, it expands the volume, it fills up the volume, and anything that's sitting on that volume is going to respond. Thus, we have the issue with houses rising and falling, roads rising and falling. We have this happen when they get wet. Conversely, when they dry out, when we have a dry period, we see cracks develop. Again, because of the overwhelming pressure we're dealing with the volume here, this exerts a massive pressure on anything that's on top of it.
10, 9.
This house is definitely the worst end of the spectrum as far as a settling of a foundation. You know, they were talking about rolling marbles on the floor and really how you could visually see the marble roll down the floor. The goal of this project is to physically lift the foundation up. Once you have issues with the foundation, there's nothing you can do construction-wise. I mean, it's not level in areas, and really the only way to get it level is to put things under the foundation and physically jack the foundation up.
What we did on this house is we determined where the lift points needed to be added to come in and lift the back of the garage and the house itself. The system that we use are called helical piers. They're actually, if you look at them, they're actually big galvanized wood screws. The way the system works is you'll come in with a piece of hydraulic equipment and you actually screw the piles into the ground. As you're putting the pile in the ground, you can actually watch the torque. So what we do is we literally screw that pile into the ground just like a wood screw goes into a piece of wood.
This is a slab-on-grade house, and one of the things you have to take into account when moving any type of foundation like this is a lot of the plumbing work goes through the foundation. So that's why whenever they do this foundation work, they lift the house really extremely slowly. It's not like they come in and just jack it up 4 inches in a matter of 10 minutes. I think they move it on the order of 1 inch per hour.
This house lifted very well. I was very happy with the way everything lifted on this house. Some houses lift better than others. You're not going to be able to ever get them 100% perfect. It's kind of like a car wreck. You aren't going to be able to get everything dead square the way it was on the car, just like on the house. Nobody can guarantee that you're going to be able to get everything back out of the house. You can just get it back as much as the house will allow.
Finding the right information to help guide you through the extensive process of home foundation repair isn't an easy task. So what is a homeowner to do when the early warning signs of a compromised foundation become apparent?
I think the first take-home message is first, don't panic. You know, with our soils in this area, there are things like that can happen and are fairly common, whether it's cracks in the drywall or you know, doors that aren't closing unevenly. Doesn't necessarily mean that your house is going to fall down. But if you do think you know that you have a problem that's substantial, what you can do is you can hire a third party to come out and inspect the home and the foundation. You can hire a structural engineer. You can talk to someone in extension like myself to come out and get a preliminary overview of what might be happening with your foundation, and then we can help bring in anybody that might be able to give a third opinion on what might need to be done or if anything needs to be done.
The biggest thing that I would stress with people is if you're meeting with somebody and things just don't sound quite right, if you're talking with a contractor or something at all, get a second opinion, please. The two things I tell clients that we have to have for foundations is typically you have to have elevation differences and some physical problems. If you don't have both of those, I would tend to be a little bit more on the conservative side of let's keep an eye on something before we just start spending money trying to fix foundations.
This video aims to identify some of the most common signs of foundation trouble and points out something equally as important: choosing the right path to home restoration. So take the necessary steps to secure the best professional to repair your foundation and find out ahead of time how much you will be expected to pay. Remember, a solid foundation is vital to the integrity of your home and the safety of you and your loved ones.